There is only so much an 18-year-old can take before they break. For me it was the night Uncle Raymond stormed in and screamed, "God is not paying your bills." I'm Chester, and up until that second, I was just a skinny kid trying to keep my mom and little sister afloat. But when my blood boiled, something else woke up inside me. It was the first sting of a much greater purpose being unearthed beneath the surface of our broken lives. Let's go back to the beginning, before I realized who I actually was. The dirt on our family farm wasn't just dry, it felt cursed. I sat on a jagged rock at the edge of the property, the dust of the barren field clinging to my sweaty skin. Down at the main house, the harsh mocking laughter of Uncle Raymond and Aunt Clara echoed through the open windows. They had shown up uninvited again, pretending to check on us, but really they were just there to bleed us dry. "Look at this place, Martha," Uncle Raymond's voice carried across the yard, dripping with condescension. "You're living on a dust bowl. You can't even afford your heart medication, let alone IV school supplies. Sell us the land for pennies. Let us bail you out before you all starve." "This land belonged to my husband's father." My mother's voice came out frail, interrupted by a harsh rattling cough. "We will get by. God will provide." "God," Aunt Clara scoffed loudly. "God isn't paying your medical bills. Your husband chased a foolish deployment and left you with nothing. Don't let your pride ruin your kids." I clenched my fists until my knuckles turned white. For 6 agonizing years I had tilled this ground until my hands bled. I poured what little money we had into fertilizers, and I prayed until my knees were numb, but the soil remained stubbornly rocky, destroying every plow blade I owned. The sky remained clear of rain later. The house was finally quiet, but a sound tore through my chest. Walking past my mother's room, I saw her kneeling by her bed. Her thin, frail frame was trembling violently as she wept into her hands. "Please, Lord," she whispered, her voice cracking, "just enough for food tomorrow. Please." A switch flipped inside me. A white-hot wave of anger and pure despair consumed my entire being. I couldn't take it anymore. I sprinted out of the house, tearing into the pitch-black darkness of the barren fields, sobbing openly until I collapsed in the center of the rocky plot. I bolted to my feet, trembling with rage. I raised my hands, thrusting a rigid finger directly at the starless empty sky. "Where are you?" I screamed, the sound tearing at my throat. "My mother is dying. They laugh at us, they treat us like garbage. We gave you everything, and you give us this dead dirt." I shook my fist at the heavens, tears streaming down my face. "If you are real, show yourself, fight for us, or admit that you've abandoned us." Gasping for air, I dropped my hands. A heavy, suffocating silence fell over the field. I looked down, wiping my eyes fiercely, ready to walk back and accept defeat. That is when I saw it. A sharp, piercing glint of light. It wasn't a reflection of the moon, the sky was completely overcast. It was a faint internal luminescence glowing from the dirt. Frowning, I knelt down and dug my fingernails into the dry earth, prying out a heavy, jagged rock. I aggressively rubbed the grime off against my shirt. Underneath the dirt, the stone caught the dim light of the distant house, refracting it into a brilliant icy fire. My breath hitched. I remembered a chapter from my geology class. The unique octahedron shape. The unmistakable adamantine luster. It couldn't be. I began to dig frantically with my bare hands, clawing at the rocky soil I had cursed for years. Just inches below the barren topsoil lay a dense, glittering vein of uncut stones. The very rocks that had ruined my plows, the very stones I thought were a curse, were actually a massive untapped pipe of rough diamonds. The next morning, I caught the earliest bus to the city, my heart hammering against my ribs. I walked into the high-security office of a premier diamond dealer, and placed the single largest stone on the velvet counter. The dealer adjusted his magnifying loupe, leaning in. Minutes passed in agonizing, tense silence. Finally the man looked up, his eyes wide with disbelief. He told me the single stone was flawless and incredibly rare. He handed me an immediate advance check for $15,000, with a mining contract for the rest of the property that stretched into the millions. I stared at the check, a profound warmth washing over me. The land wasn't dead. It was just keeping its treasures hidden until the exact moment we needed them most. 3 days later, Uncle Raymond and Aunt Clara returned, accompanied by a greedy lawyer and a contract to buy our home. "Sign it, Martha," Raymond urged, tossing a pen onto the kitchen table. "Before the bank forecloses and throws you in the street." "She won't be signing anything," I said, stepping into the room. "Oh, look who thinks he is the man of the house," Aunt Clara sneered, rolling her eyes. "What are you going to do, Chester? Pay her medical bills with dirt?" I calmly walked over and placed a certified bank receipt on the table. Raymond snatched it up, his smug smile instantly vanishing. His face turned completely sheet white as he read the balance. This is impossible," Raymond stammered, his voice shaking. "Where did you get this kind of money?" "We aren't selling," I said, my voice echoing with absolute authority, "and we don't need your charity. Get out of our house." As Raymond and Clara stood frozen in shock, the front door clicked open. My little sister Ivy gasped from the hallway. A man stepped into the living room. He wore a worn, faded military jacket. His face was lined with deep hardship, but his eyes were unmistakably kind. "Martha," the man whispered. My mother stood up, her weakness entirely forgotten as tears flooded her eyes. "David, it was my father. 6 years ago. His unit had been ambushed. He had survived, but severe trauma had left him with total amnesia, living in a distant border town with no memory of who he was. But the day before, a local news station had run a viral human interest story about an 18-year-old farmer discovering a massive diamond vein. When he saw our family's surname and the picture of our old farm on the broadcast, the shock fractured his amnesia, bringing his memories rushing back. The diamonds hadn't just saved us from poverty. The public discovery of the treasure was the beacon that brought my father home. I looked out the window at the distant, rocky field. I closed my eyes, offering a silent prayer of apology and profound gratitude. God hadn't been deaf and he hadn't been silent. He was just waiting for the perfect time to unearth the blessing.